Picture a small Texas town in 1927, 2 days before Christmas. There are decorations and happy faces everywhere you look. But something strange is about to happen. A man dressed as Santa Claus quietly walks into a bank. But he's not there to give out gifts. He's there to carry out a heist. How could Santa, a symbol of joy, become involved with such a crime? This is the surprising story of the Santa Claus Bank Robbery, where things are not as they seem. In the quiet town of Cisco, Texas, a sinister plot was brewing beneath its peaceful surface. Marshall Ratliff, an ex-con once jailed for a bank robbery in Valera by Chief of Police G.E. Bitt Bedford, was back. But why? Recently paroled, Ratliff had big plans of robbing the Cisco bank. His original partner, his brother Lee, had been rearrested, forcing Ratliff to recruit new accomplices: Helms, Hill, and later Davis, a desperate family man. But how could they pull off such a daring heist in broad daylight? Texas at that time was a dangerous place for bank robbers, with 3 or 4 banks being hit daily. To counter this, the Texas Bankers Association offered a staggering $5,000 reward to anyone who shot a bank robber during the act. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the game was on. Aware of his notoriety in Cisco, Ratliff came up with a daring plan. Why not disguise himself to evade recognition? His choice was simple yet genius: a Santa Claus costume. Borrowing the suit from Josephine Heron of Wichita Falls, Ratliff took on his new identity. December 23rd dawned, and the group, having stolen a car, arrived in Cisco. Ratliff, wearing his Santa suit, strolled down Avenue D, blending in with the festive crowd. He engaged with the children, who were none the wiser, innocently following this Santa into the bank. What followed next was criminal deception at its finest, as Ratliff and his gang commenced their infamous bank robbery, capitalizing on the merry chaos of the season. Could anyone have predicted the dark turn this festive day would take? In the heart of Cisco, Texas, the unsuspecting cashier's cheerful "Hello, Santa" echoed through the bank, met with silence from this disguised Marshall Ratliff. As he casually approached a desk, his accomplices Robert Hill, Henry Helms, and Davis burst in, guns drawn, shattering the upbeat atmosphere. "Hands up," Hill commanded. Ratliff, now behind the cashier's cage, armed himself from a hidden drawer, his Santa suit hiding more than just his identity. The robbers swiftly took control, with Ratliff forcing the assistant cashier to open the safe, stuffing cash and bonds into a sack. Amidst the chaos, Mrs. B.P. Blassingame and her 6-year-old daughter, Frances, entered, wanting to catch a glimpse of Santa, unaware of what was going on. Quick to realize the danger, Mrs. Blassingame made a daring escape with Frances, racing to alert the police. This move set off a frantic response. Police Chief G.E. Bitt Bedford, along with officers Reddies and Carmichael, rushed to the scene, positioning themselves strategically around the bank. Inside, the tension peaked as the robbers, now with a full sack, faced the bookkeeper with a chilling warning: "Don't look at me." The scene was set for a showdown, with the town's law enforcement swarming like bees and the robbers trapped within, their escape uncertain. Can you guess what happened next? In Cisco, Texas, a fierce shootout erupted outside the bank on a busy Christmas Eve, turning the festive scene into chaos. Who fired the first shot remains unknown. Some say Ratliff, dressed as Santa, shot the bank window to signal his gang, while others think Hill fired first, seeing someone outside. Immediately, Police Chief Bedford and Deputy Carmichael responded, exchanging gunfire with the robbers. The situation escalated quickly as townspeople, grabbing guns from stores, joined in. Even the assistant and postmaster fired at the robbers, hitting one in the arm. A bullet also injured a bank employee and a customer. The robbers, desperate to escape, pushed hostages, including injured bank president Spears, towards their blue car. They also took 2 young girls, Laverne and Emma, using them as shields. Over 100 shots were fired before the robbers reached their car. In the alley, Chief Bedford and Carmichael were severely wounded. Officer Reddies, seeing his partner hurt, bravely tried to help while dodging bullets. As the robbers fled, Bedford, a 25-year veteran, confronted them, but was shot 5 times. Bedford died hours later, and Carmichael a month after. 6 civilians were wounded and 2 robbers, including Ratliff, were injured. Reddies, determined, chased the robbers on foot, later joined by a civilian, continuing the pursuit after this intense and tragic event. The dramatic getaway of the Cisco bank robbers turned into a chaotic manhunt, unfolding like a scene from a Wild West movie. As the four robbers fled with the hostages, their plan hit a snag. Their car was nearly out of gas. A shot from law enforcement flattened one of their tires, forcing them to hijack a car driven by 14-year-old Woodrow Wilson Harris. Amidst gunfire, they transferred their loot, hostages, and wounded comrade to the Oldsmobile, only to realize young Harris had cleverly taken the keys. Leaving unconscious Davis and the stolen money behind, they returned to their first car. With hostages Laverne and Emma, Hill was injured during this frantic switch. Little did they know, they had also left the stolen money in Harris's car. The mob, finding Davis and the money, temporarily stopped their chase. The bank recovered its $12,400 cash and $150,000 in non-negotiable securities. Meanwhile, the robbers, firing at pursuing vehicles, took an off-road detour through rough terrain, eventually abandoning their bullet-ridden car and the hostages. Sheriff John Hart and deputies from Eastland County, accompanied by reporters like Boyce House, rushed to the abandoned car's location. A massive manhunt ensued, with officers and citizens scouring the landscape. They found incriminating evidence, but the bandits cunningly stole another car the next morning. In a tragic twist, Carl Wiley, a young driller, was taken by the bandits as a hostage, and during the seizure, the boy's father accidentally shot him. After a night of hiding, with only oranges to eat, the injured robbers returned to Cisco, releasing Wiley and stealing yet another car. But their freedom was short-lived. The next morning in South Bend, they encountered Sheriff Foster. Another car chase and shootout ensued in an oil field. Deputy Sheriff Cy Bradford, known for being a sharpshooter, joined the chase. In a tense exchange of gunfire, Bradford's shots hit their mark. Though bleeding, tired and hungry, Helms and Hill escaped into the woods. Ratliff, heavily armed and injured, was finally captured, ending the frantic chase that had gripped western Texas. This crime spree left a mark on Eastland County's history, notably impacting its children. The image of Santa Claus was tainted when a little boy, upon seeing Santa at a church event, asked, "Santa Claus, why did you rob that bank?" The pursuit of Helms and Hill, led by Ranger Captain Tom Hickman, intensified across Texas. Despite using airplanes, the search team struggled to locate the wounded robbers. In the manhunt's chaos, 2 more accidental injuries occurred. Eventually, the duo's trail led to Graham, Texas, where they were arrested on December 30th, a week after the robbery. A local man, noticing their pistols, had alerted the authorities. Exhausted and weakened, Helms and Hill surrendered without resistance. The trials of the captured robbers followed. Helms, identified as the shooter of the lawman, received the death sentence and was executed in September 1929. Hill, pleading guilty to armed robbery and mentioning a troubled childhood, was sentenced to 99 years but was paroled in the 1940s after several escapes. He lived a reformed life up until his death in 1996. Ratliff's trial saw him convicted of armed robbery, with 10-year-old Emma Mae Robinson identifying him as the Santa Claus imposter. Despite receiving a 99-year sentence, he faced execution for the police deaths. His strange behavior, aimed at an insanity plea, failed to convince. In Eastland County, frustration over Ratliff's delayed execution boiled over. While faking paralysis in jail, he attacked his jailers, killing one. The next day, a furious mob of nearly 2,000 people lynched Ratliff, ending his life with a rope. Ratliff's body was shown to the public and then buried in Fort Worth, serving as a dark reminder of what happened. The bank robbery and everything that followed became a well-known story in Cisco, remembered with a special marker at the bank. This event, which combined crime, chase, and big changes in the community, marked a significant end in the Eastland District Court and a chapter in Texas history. This story of the bank robbery in Cisco, where a criminal dressed as Santa Claus, shows us how crime can lead to sadness and chaos. It reminds us that our actions can have large consequences and how important it is for people to work together to face tough situations. Got your heart racing, didn't we? Hit that subscribe button and join us on this thrilling journey. And hey, drop a comment below if there's a topic that's been keeping you up at night. We might just turn the spotlight on it next.